All right, if you're seeing this video, that means you were definitely interested in this body weight tracker, so I appreciate you looking into it. This is the exact one that we use with our football team here at the University of Rhode Island. This is the Google Sheet version. Obviously the Excel version works very similar, nothing really changes. So I'll walk you through this, I'll kind of show you how we use it, and then how you can take it over and make it your own. So we'll look through and I put our roster in with our positions, just helps me out to see who's who, and sometimes I'll look at position groups as a whole. I'll use a baseline here, so imagine day one being your baseline. That can be from maybe before the first practice if you have that information. If not, you'll just have to use the first practice as your baseline. No big deal. We're going to use a fresh person here, and I'll always make sure to update the date and the practice. So let's say this is our first practice. I have a baseline on my YouTube guy. He's 250. I don't have a previous one because it's day one, so we're just going to focus on today. Today, before practice, he was 248, and then when he left practice today, he was 244. He lost a couple pounds. So that would put him at 1.64% body loss. That's 4 pounds. It's 80 fluid ounces. So not too bad, but definitely we want to stay on top of this, and we need at least 80 fluid ounces in before the next practice. If it's in the afternoon, then you really got to stay on top of it. If it's the next day, typically ours is the next day, then that's plenty of time to get that hydration back in. So something to keep in mind out there. And then obviously we can look at some other people here. Wide receiver was 201, went down to 200, not a huge deal. Just obviously stay hydrated and go from there. 218 to 215, 1.4%. Again, not the end of the world. Let's stay on top of it. And then my person here is obviously dehydrated, went from 259 all the way down to 252. That's over 2.5%. So we really need to keep an eye on this person. Maybe send them a text later in the day. Hey, make sure you're drinking some more water. Make sure we're staying on top of that. Because that practice took a lot out of them. So this first part of the sheet here, pre and post practice, will tell you how much that practice took out of the athlete, and then also how much they need to put back in fluid wise. That's the first step. The next step is we're going to look at post practice versus the next day or the next practice, and did we put enough back in. How I'll do that is I'll duplicate the sheet for the next day or the next practice. Usually it's the next day, and obviously I got to go through and change everything. If you even want to go ahead and do this ahead of time, it's actually not a bad idea at all. We will take our post practice, and that will now become yesterday's post practice, and then we can obviously clear out these categories here because we no longer need these. So now we're going to fill them in and go from there. But let's say my hydrated person, yesterday they left practice at 200, they came back today at 201. When we go to the right hand side and we look over here, we see that, you know what, that's a good job. He added a pound. He's heavier than when he lost a bunch of water or lost sweat, so that's a good sign. Now we have our person, he left yesterday at 215. He got back, he put 214 in. Not all the way back to where he was from yesterday, so it's obviously not ideal, and we give it a yellow flag, but not the end of the world. As that goes on, maybe they didn't get all of it back and they were down to try 212. Now we're starting to look, hey, you're 3 pounds lighter than when you left practice yesterday. I know it's not always feasible to get all your body weight back, but at this point we're keeping an eye on this kid, maybe just making sure they're staying hydrated. If you have time before practice, drink a little bit more water and load up. But if not, let's definitely keep an eye on this athlete. Now here's an example, our person is dehydrated. They left practice at 252. Let's say they came back. I want to get a red flag here, so it's going to be pretty severe, right? Oh, wow. So they're down 7 pounds from what they left practice at yesterday. Then that's a very bad sign that this person should not be allowed to practice because they're going into the practice dehydrated. And then you're gonna only just bury them further. So if you ever have somebody in that red flag category, I would talk to your coach, talk to your athletic trainer. If you are the coach or the athletic trainer, I would hold this person at a practice. They're down 2.5% of their body weight, mostly in fluid, and then you're asking them to then practice and deplete it even more. That's just a recipe for disaster. So we don't want to see that. And then, yeah, so we'll go from there. And then obviously the process repeats itself. So let's say post-practice, this person was down to 198. Okay, I tell them, hey, you lost 3 pounds. We got to get that back up for tomorrow. This person did a good job. They drank a lot of water at practice. Nothing to worry about. For some reason, we let my guy practice. I don't know why we did that. And he lost another 5 pounds. So he's not super dehydrated, but obviously when you factor in the fact that he started camp at 270, he's now down to 240. We have bigger issues to fry. So that's how all that works. If you're using the Google Sheet, how you make your own copy would be here. And then there's a make a copy button, right? You put it in your drive, and what it'll look like, it'll say copy of Preseason Body Tracker, and then obviously you need to go in and change all the stuff that you use from there. So that's kind of how that works. If you have any questions, reach out to me, Instagram, Twitter, whatever you need to, email as well. But I hope this helps, and I hope this helps you take care of your athletes just a little bit better. Thanks.